Thank you very much. I'm delighted to welcome you, Prime Minister, together with the new Foreign Minister and with other Georgian government representatives, to Brussels today for our first EU-Georgia Association Council meeting. The EU-Georgia Association Agreement that we signed in June this year has raised our relationship to a new level. The agreement is being provisionally applied since September, allowing us to move ahead with deeper political association and economic integration. The Association Council is the highest standing body of our agreement, and today we agreed on the rules for its functioning. We also formally endorsed the association agenda, a jointly agreed set of priorities for its implementation. I'm very pleased to announce that the Council concurred today with the Commission's second progress report on the implementation by Georgia of the Visa Liberalization Action Plan, which concludes that Georgia meets the first phase requirements of the visa dialogue and that the second implementation phase of the action plan can be launched now. We also expressed appreciation for Georgia's contribution to EU missions in the Central African Republic and in Mali on the basis of our framework agreement for Georgia's participation in EU common security and defense policy missions. We congratulated also Georgia on making further important progress in its democratic development following parliamentary and presidential elections in 2012 and 2013, and stressed the need to follow up on the recommendations by the OSCE ODIHR in good time before the next electoral cycle. In this regard, the EU side underlined the need to improve the political climate. Political retribution, confrontation and polarization should be avoided, and space for opposition and cross-party dialogue should be ensured. We spoke about the need for Georgia to continue efforts to reform the judiciary and ensure the rule of law. Criminal investigations and prosecutions should be evidence-based, transparent, free of political motivation, impartial, and adhere strictly to principles of due process in line with the commitments undertaken by Georgia in the association agreement itself. Any form of instrumentalization of the persecution for political purposes must be avoided, and the persecutors should follow legally based procedures strictly and prepare evidence professionally. Politicians should refrain from comment on ongoing investigations and on cases in the court, and the executive must respect decisions of the judiciary. We welcome the adoption of the National Strategy on Human Rights and the Human Rights Action Plan, including the anti-discrimination legislation, as well as the establishment of the Human Rights Council. We urge Georgia to pursue further reforms to protect human rights and fundamental freedoms, including of persons belonging to minorities and vulnerable groups. We discussed the most recent developments in Abkhazia and South Ossetia, including new moves by the de facto authorities to restrict freedom of movement across the administrative boundary line. Another point of mutual concern is the far-reaching treaty being discussed between the Russian Federation and the Abkhaz de facto authorities. Reports on a similar undertaking with the South Ossetian de facto authorities are equally disconcerting. Such undertakings go against territorial integrity and do not contribute to the escalation in the region. We reconfirm the EU support for Georgia's territorial integrity and assured that the EU will continue to raise the issue proactively in our contacts with the Russian Federation. We remain committed to support conflict resolution in Georgia, including through our co-chairmanship of the Geneva International Talks and our monitoring mission in Georgia. Let me conclude by saying that the partnership between the European Union and Georgia is a strong one, and it will become even stronger, I believe, in the coming years, as we work to implement the agreement for the benefit of Georgia, of the Georgian citizens, and of the European Union. I'm looking forward to work with you, Prime Minister, with your government, on all the objectives we have discussed today, and looking forward to the continuation of our meeting tonight and our path ahead.
Thank you very much. Today, the European Union and Georgia held the first meeting of the Association Council, which is yet another historical occasion on Georgia's European way. With this meeting, we upgraded the political dialogue and established new institutional framework of association between the European Union and Georgia. The 2014 was the year of important achievements in our bilateral relations. Today we had an opportunity to assess those achievements and exchange views on the next steps toward the Riga summit next year. We also paid particular attention to current developments and challenges in the Eastern Partnership region, and especially in Georgia. Let me again reaffirm the irreversibility of Georgia's European and Euro-Atlantic integration course, which is our national idea and a civilizational choice. Georgia is a unique country among the Eastern European partners, enjoying a unity of political elite and public consensus for this historical goal. The association agreement with the European Union as the master plan is the master plan of Georgia's Europeanization and modernization. It is a concrete demonstration of Georgia's firm commitment to the path of political association and economic integration with the European Union, creating solid grounds for further progressive development of our relations. The association agreement is not the final goal in our cooperation. I have an ambition to make my country a success story in the region using the transformative power of the European integration process. To this end, we regard the association agreement as the essential basis to build a truly European, stable and functional pluralist democracy with effective checks and balances and strong democratic institutions. Today, effective implementation of the agreement is a key. To this end, we welcome the provisional application of this comprehensive agreement and express full commitment to timely advance in this process. We are also determined to deliver concrete results by the Riga summit next year. We believe that this is a joint exercise. We highly value the European Union's substantial assistance to Georgia's reform efforts in almost all sectors. Considering the new comprehensive EU approximation agenda, we rely on the European Union's full support based on the principles of differentiation and more for more to ensure success of the implementation process. One of our major priorities is to make the best use of opportunities opened by the DCFTA and bring the anticipated benefits to Georgian citizens. Effective attractiveness as a viable investment destination create better environment for local as well as international businesses and facilitate economic modernization of Georgia. We expect that these new realities will be duly seized by the Georgian and international business communities, and our aim is to create cooperation opportunities for all partners based on principles of the rule of law, fair competition, mutual trust and respect. My country has finalized the first phase of the Visa Liberalization Action Plan, which was confirmed by the recent Commission's second progress report. And this opens the way towards the introduction of the visa-free regime between the European Union and Georgia in a secure and well-managed environment. And let me hereby stress our commitment to meet all benchmarks of the second phase by the Riga summit. Promoting security and stability on the ground is high on our agenda. The European Union plays a vital role in this respect, particularly through its firm support for Georgia's territorial integrity within its internationally recognized borders. We highly value European Union's engagement in this process, primarily through effective non-recognition policy, maintaining the EUMM on the ground, function of the EUSR, and active participation in the Geneva international discussions. Georgia shares the political responsibility to ensure peace and stability on the European continent and beyond. In this context, I'm very proud to note that along with being a beneficiary of the European Union's security arrangements, Georgia has become the EU's partner in promoting security worldwide. As the second largest contributor, we are successfully engaged in the EU-led CSDP operation in the Central African Republic. Along with substantial progress achieved within the Eastern Partnership, there is a growing need to respond adequately to the existing challenges in the region in order to guarantee the success of our common objectives. It is imperative that the fundamental principles of sovereignty and non-interference and the right of each nation to define and conduct its own foreign policy are firmly defended. Madam High Representative, once again, I want to thank you for hosting my delegation. Thank you. Thank you.
Prime Minister, High Representative, ladies and gentlemen, the European Union fully recognizes Georgia's reform efforts and its European aspirations. That's why we have signed the association agreement. The focus should now be on implementing the necessary reforms so that Georgia's aspirations can come closer and closer to reality. High Representative Vice President Mogherini already listed many of the accomplishments in EU-Georgia relations during the last year. I think we can look back with satisfaction at the great deal of progress we achieved in our bilateral agenda. Our meeting today addressed the challenges that still lay ahead. I am pleased to say that the implementation of the DCFTA so far is going smoothly. I equally welcome Georgia's accomplishment in the visa liberalization dialogue and have high hopes that reforms will continue in the practical implementation of the agreed benchmarks. In this regard, we are pleased with the adoption of the anti-discrimination legislation. Justice system reform is among EU funding priorities for the next 3 years as part of our effort to assist the implementation of the association agreement commitments. And I have to say, EU assistance is substantial. Georgia continues to be at the forefront of Eastern Partnership, a fact recognized not only in words but also with the additional financial support. And as the Prime Minister already said, there is more for more if it's justified. And in the case of Georgia, it is justified, as it was in the last 3 years. In the year 2014, financial support will amount to 131 million euro. The European Union has already provided 230 million euro in the period 2011-2013. This amounts to about 1.5% of Georgian GDP over the same period. And our support is not only, if you like, in cash. It includes training and technical advice, capacity and institution building. Finally, let me point to the important role of civil society, which is recognized in the association agreement by establishing a civil society platform as well as a parliamentary association committee. We also expressed our gratitude for Georgia's readiness to host the 6th annual Eastern Partnership Civil Society Forum in Batumi on Thursday and Friday this week. Thank you very much.